I'm long past the age. Oh, sod off! Sod off and get out of here. I was thinking about this the other night, actually, when I was lying in bed. Come on, get out of it. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. I was thinking about this the other night while I was lying in bed. And sort of like what made me this way. What made me this sort of miserable person. If you think I'm scammer, how about you learn English? Also, you're capitalizing every single... let me win this match and then I'm gonna time out. I'm gonna time out this person. There we go. Oh, I can't time out from... Oh, damn it, I have to time out from... Alright. And goodbye. And that deals with them. Yeah, I was thinking about it the other night while I was just laying in bed. And just like, you know, what made me this way? Like, what made me this sort of miserable person that I am today. Excuse me. I'm gonna quickly write down. Sorry, for a second. I don't know where that came from all of a sudden. My apologies. 35. Yeah, I was thinking about it the other night, just lying in bed. It was like, what made me this way? And it was like, well, trusting people. Unfortunately, like, too many times I've been too trusting of people around me and too willing to do things for them. And sorry, I'm just focusing on this. And I've just been too trusting, basically, and as a result, they've basically just taken advantage of me. They've basically taken advantage of my kindness, basically. And the fact that I'm willing to help and, you know, willing to help out people and all that. And people have basically just taken advantage of it. And... oh, come on. There we go. I got caught out by the other bow, didn't I? Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think. And because of that, people have taken advantage of me over the years. Nice. And they've taken. I will get a story out eventually. They've taken advantage of my kindness, and they've taken advantage of what I do in my brain, and they've just done it for their own good. And as a result of it, I've never gotten anything in return for it, because they've essentially just used me. Essentially. They've just used me for their own good, basically. Ooh, there's a bit of a scramble. Let's get away out of the scramble first of all. Scramble. Can we come around from the other side? Yes, we can. There we go, and now we're out of the scramble. There you go, in there, lovely. Oh, come on! Oh, what deals with them? But no, I've just been too trusting of people, basically. And so many people have just taken advantage of that. And so because of that, I've grown to distrust people, basically. And I've grown to distrust the system. Because I feel like all the system does is the system uses you for its own good and not for the benefit of others. Which is what I'd love it to be. But sadly it seems that we just seem to live in this era of just greed and people only looking out for themselves instead of looking out for others. And it's just made me very miserable as a person, unfortunately, because as much as I would love to be happy and helping people, I can't bring myself to do it. Because I know that eventually people will stab me in the back. And all of these bots are just perfect examples of that. That's a great example, by the way, of what I was talking about earlier, how one person can basically change the match. Yes, it was a tight game, but the fact that we basically had like a monster on our side, that definitely turned the match in our favour. But yeah, it's why bots just annoy me. It's why, like, bots annoy me, and why all the people that come in here and like, oh, I gave you a follow, can you follow me back? Like, no, sod off. You just want to use me. You're not interested in me as an individual. You're not interested in me as a person. You just want to use me. So why should I help you? Just get that off. I was gonna die anyway, so it was like, get that off and just get it going. So, yeah. as much as I would love to be positive and, you know, be a ray of sunshine, cloud and sunshine and flowers and woo and all this, I can't. The world has just battered me, unfortunately. And the world has just taught me that the world is woo, and that in order to survive in it, you have to be selfish. And that's what it is for me. You know, that's what streaming is. This is a very selfish endeavour that I'm doing. You know, I'm not doing this, you know, yes, I do want to make people happy. I love making people smile. I love making people happy. But I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I want to be happy. I'm doing this because I want to do something that I can be proud of, not someone else. That's the whole reason for doing this. And I'm very bullish about it. And I'm very sort of big ignorant about it. But screw it. I'm going to do this my way. And if anyone wants to complain about it or moan about it, then start up OBS, you know? If you think you're better, go for it. Like that's one of the great things about streaming, is that it's such a low entry barrier. Like, if you think you're good enough, if you think you can do it. What's stopping you? Hmm? I'm gonna get out of the situation. There we go. So yeah, it's... Again, I apologise for being negative. I realise a lot of people do not want to hear from a negative streamer, but... unfortunately, it's just one of those days, you know. It's... everyone has them. Everyone has those negative days where things just don't go your way. And you can bottle it up, you know. You could put a mask on, and you could say... you could say, oh, you know, everything's fine, everything's dandy, everything's A-okay. Or you can talk about it. Because in the end, everything's not okay, everything's not fine, and it's important that we talk about it. You know, it's important that we talk about this stuff. Yeah, you know, it's important that we talk about things like this, and we learn to express ourselves, both positively and negatively, because it's very important to see, if you bottle it up and if you don't do anything with it, Sorry if I'm hitting the microphone. Am I hitting the microphone? Oh, I think I am. Apologies. If you do nothing about it, and you just bottle it up, and you just keep it all inside, and you don't do anything about it, you're gonna be miserable. You're just gonna be miserable, basically. Because you're just not gonna have that outlet. And it's important for you to have that outlet, you know. It's important to have that outlet where you can just be yourself and you can just turn around and say, you know what? Everything's not okay. Yeah. As I thought. Go around the back. Yeah. There we go. It's important to retreat when you know. It's important for you as an individual to realize when you're not okay. And to realize when you need to take a step back, maybe do something a bit different. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to like be disgusted with. It's perfectly normal for you to turn around and be like, you know, I'm not feeling good. It's a perfectly natural feeling. The problem is you've got all these different sources and all these different people saying, no, your life can be so much better, your life isn't bad, your life isn't terrible, it's good, it's great. Like, why should you complain? Why should you moan? Well, is it? Is it that good? Or is it just, as has happened to me before, sadly, people telling you that your life is good? And in fact, you eventually find out that your life is only good to help them and not yourself. Please tell me you're taking this one out. Thank you. Too short. Yeah, eventually you... I might be jumping into death here. Yeah, I'm jumping into death. I survived a shot though. Survived one. Yeah, no, you may find yourself in that situation where you've got someone telling you that your life is great, when in actual fact it isn't. It's just all a mirage. They think it's great because they're personally benefiting from it. But the reality is that it's not great. And the reality is that you're being used. and it's not pleasant. I unfortunately have personal experience in this, and I won't go into too much detail because I know I'll get accused of trauma dumping and trying me negative, which is something I've never really understood. Like, oh, you know, you've been negative, stop trauma dumping. Right. In my personal opinion, you're only trauma dumping if you're looking for sympathy. Like in my personal opinion, trauma dumping is when someone tells a negative story because they want a certain reaction. Because they want people to feel sorry for them. And they want people to feel sad for them, basically. That's trauma dumping, in my opinion. Talking about negative things is not necessarily trauma dumping, so long as you're not trying to manipulate people. Yes, you can sometimes talk too heavily about negative things, and you know, it can be a bit uncomfortable. That's understandable. Jesus, how many more times am I going to get this mad? But it doesn't necessarily mean that people are trying to, you know, make people feel sad about it. They're just trying to explain things. Like, I could talk about, again, I won't, but I could talk about a lot of the negative things that have happened in my life. And I could say, well, I've had this happen to me, and this, and this, and this. And like all these different things. But I don't want people to feel sympathy for me. I'm not trying to... Where are you from there? I'm not trying to manipulate people because of it. All I'm trying to do is explain to people what I went through. And in some cases, educate people on what not to do. And just sort of be like, hey, I went through this scenario. This, and this happened. It was a rough time. But at the end of it, I learned this, and this. That's not a bad thing. That, you know, that in my personal opinion would not be considered trauma dumping. Because I'm not trying to manipulate people to feel sorry for me. And especially me, again, I won't mention any instances, but I can see personally a lot of the negative things that happened in my life, I brought upon myself. Like, why should people feel sorry for me for things that I have done to myself? That's not right. But I've also learned a lot from those experiences. I've learned, you know, what not to do, but also how to look at things and how to perceive things. I've learned a lot of life experience out of it all. And yeah, I'm a very different person to who I used to be, you know. I've changed a lot over the years. And so like, oh, disconnect. Oh, that's terrible. Well, let's finish this up then. No, as I say, you know, I've learned a lot from all of those experiences. And I'm grateful for those experiences as well. As bad as they were bad. I learned a lot of valuable life lessons from those experiences. And those experiences made me stronger. And by not talking about them, by not learning from them, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I think overall, I probably would have been a worse person. Like, I probably wouldn't have been anywhere near the person that I am today. And there would have been a lot of things that I simply ignored and just chose to ignore, basically. And there would have been so many things that I just wouldn't have learned. Nice. And that's a bit sad, really. Because I kind of like the person I am today. You know, it's the person that I am today has learnt a lot of different things, and has definitely grown up and is a lot more knowledgeable than the person that I used to be. And a lot of it comes from those experiences. A lot of it comes from those rough times. Because it was in those rough times that I learned who I was as an individual. Because that's when you really learn who you are as an individual. Is when you're put under pressure. You know. When the spotlight is on you. And especially like when there's no one else but you. And it's literally just you. That's when you truly learn who you are as an individual. That's when you truly learn what makes you who you are. And that's what I learned. And again, would I have been, you know, if I didn't acknowledge these, you know, these tough times, if I didn't acknowledge that I was going through tough times, would I be the same person that I am today? No. Because I think I just don't think I would have learned what I learned. You know, I don't think I would have learned what I have. I think I would have just been ignorant to it. And I don't think being ignorant is the right choice, you know. I think sometimes you've got to admit that, you know, yeah, you're not right. You're not in a good place. And sometimes you need to have those hard talks with yourself. And just, you know, just realize, you know, you won't, you know, like, you may not realize right away, you may not realize right away that you're getting done in by a umbrella from behind. Like, you may not realize, like, you know, what it is that needs changing, But even just recognizing that that something is wrong, that you're not in a good place, like that is such a huge step in itself. I remember when I was going through my own issues, and I was like, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing, and it kept getting stacked because I was just denying it. And eventually got to become very serious. Oh, with 3v4. That makes sense. And eventually it just got to be very serious. And it wasn't until I admitted that something was wrong and that I confided in someone about it, did things start to change? Did things start to get better? It's kind of one of the reasons why I'm writing The Nightmare Killers. Because The Nightmare Killers is basically everything that I've learned from dealing with all my issues, like depression and anxiety and everything like that. And I've taken that journey that I've been on and I've put it into a story and I've given it life. That's why I keep saying that story is very personal to me. It is, because it's basically all about my journey and everything that I've been through. And, put simply, if I hadn't been on that journey, I wouldn't have been inspired to write The Nightmare Killers. So I had to go through that journey. It's... we can sit here and say that life is sunshine and roses and all of that. But to do that would be to deny something that is so critical to growing up and to learning about who you are. And that is perspective, truth, honesty, and reflection. And not getting your ass kicked in on the way. It's... a very, very long time ago, I thought I was a perfectionist. I genuinely thought I was a perfectionist. And that everything I did was perfect, and that everything had to be perfect. Nothing could be wrong. God forbid if something was wrong like that. God forbid if something was wrong, like, It just couldn't be in my life. Because why would it be? I am perfect. And then that all came crashing down. And it all just got destroyed. And I suddenly realized I wasn't perfect. And when I lost that, I lost... well, everything basically, because that was my whole identity at the time. Oh, sorry. Hi. Sorry, I'm in the middle of sort of. I'm having like an inner monologue. I went for so long with no one being here. I sort of had an inner monologue of myself. Hang on. Let me finish my point and then I'll answer your question. But like. I basically just lost who I was, basically, because I lost that perfectionist trait in me. And it took me a long, long time to finally admit that. Admit that, I wasn't perfect, that something was wrong, and that I had to do something about it. And now, I'm a lot better off. I realise now that... Hang on. Focus on you. No. I realise now that I'm a lot better off because I'm not so I'm not so focused on perfectionism. I'm me,